Welcome back. We're now going to take a look at lesson 2.10, where we're going to continue our number patterns with our knowledge of place value. So let's take a look at our I can statement for today. I can show and explain how place value helps me identify, tell what it is, and extend, add on, counting patterns. To begin, we're going to watch a video.
Hey class, let's begin.
So look at the following number pattern: 100, 105, 110, 115. Can you see the pattern? You have to add 5 or count on by 5. What happens when we add on 5 more? We get 120. So look at the following number pattern: 80, 90, 100, 110. What do we do next? Can you see the pattern? You have to add 10 or count on by 10 for each. Once you've identified that, you can add that 10 onto 110 and get 120. Using our knowledge of our place value and adding 10 to the tens like we did yesterday with 2.9. 180, 170, 160, blank 140. What is our pattern? For this pattern, you have to subtract 10. Taking 10 away, taking 10 away. What happens if I take 10 away? 150. If I go backwards, I should be counting up by 10, and I'll get up to 180. Notice you could do this 2 different ways. Now, let's take a look at our lesson. Let's see what pattern is shown by this counting sequence. So, I see, first I'm going to read the whole pattern of numbers: 250, 260, 270, 280, 290. So how do I get from 250 to 260? I'm going to use my knowledge of place value. I'm also going to draw a picture: 2 hundreds, 5 tens, and 0 ones. So if I go from 2 hundreds, 5 tens, 0 ones to 2 hundreds, 6 tens, and 0 ones, what did I do? Oh, I added a 10. What's changing from 260 to 270? I'm adding a 10. So I'm adding another 10. I'm adding another 10. So what pattern is shown by this counting sequence? I'm adding 10. How would you count on by 100 from the number 100? Think about that. If I start at 100. How would I count on by 100? So if I'm going up 100, let's think of our blocks. I had 100. I'm going to add on 100. So now I have 200. Great job, friends. So let's take a look at some number patterns. Ooh. Let's count. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. This sounds different from what I'm used to. So I'm going to stop and think. This isn't something I can just guess at. So how do I go from 4 to 8? I'm going to count on. 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. I added 4. So I'm going to show that. How do I go from 8 to 12? 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. I added 4 again. How do I get from 12 to 16? Well, I know 4 plus 2 is 6. So I'm adding 4 again. And 4 again. Can you figure out this pattern? What's changing? If you said the hundreds are changing by 1, then you are correct. We started at 100, and it went up to 200, to 300, to 400. Each time we added 100. How do we know? We should be able to explain that our 1s and 10s stayed the same, but each time we counted on in our number pattern, our hundreds place increased 1. We're going to move on. How to solve a pattern. This is pretty important, friends. Sometimes you just look at a pattern and you recognize the rule, like 2, 4, 6, 8. Well, we've been doing that for quite a while. So I can look at that and say, oh, I'm counting by 2s. But other times, you may have to count to the next number. So let's try. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Count by 5s to the next number. What do you think would be next? Let's count on. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Good job. Now, if the number is too large to count easily, subtract the larger number from the smaller number to see the difference in between the numbers. That gets a little tricky for us, so for right now, I'd really like to get us to just count on or look at the place value. I notice my 1 changes to 2 to 3 to 4. For my hundreds and my 10s and 1s stay the same. I don't need to count up to figure it out. I can use my knowledge of place value to know that there's 100 in between each of them. And my next number would be 500 in my pattern. So on your whiteboard, see if you can figure out what our number pattern is. On your whiteboard, write 1, 5, 9, and then 13. Now, in a second, you're going to pause the video and see if you can figure out our pattern by doing your arrow and writing how many you added on or took away. And do that for each until you figure out what my green bubble is. Push pause. When you're ready, push play again. Welcome back, friends. If we counted on from 1 to 5, we saw that we added 4. If I go from 5 to 9, I'm also adding 4. To jump from 9 to 13, we add 4. So if I go from 13 up to my dot, I add 4 and end up with 17. So my rule is adding 4 to a number. In this number pattern, the terms are increasing by 4. Now, I did not just guess. I did not just look at one jump. I looked at each jump to make sure. Now it's your turn. Try this one. Write 30, 24, 18, 12. What's my next number? What happens from number to number? See if you can decide. Push pause and give it a try. All right, my friends. If you made a jump and said you took away 6, you were correct. To get to 24, minus 6 to get to 18, minus 6 to get to 12. If I take 6 away from 12, what do I get? You're right. Good use of your double stacks to help you out. You get 6. So we're going to look down here at what we wrote for what our rule is. Each term is decreasing by, you got that right, 6, my friends. High five. Way to go. So we're going to take a break from this, and we're actually going to look at our workbook now. Let's take out our workbook page for lesson 10. Sorry, my mouse was lost on my computer. And you're going to see your number chart. On your number chart, it says shade the numbers in the counting pattern. I'm going to read you some numbers, and I want you to listen carefully and simply color in very lightly or circle the numbers I'm saying. At Blossom Bakery, 823 muffins were sold in the morning. So 823. So I see my 3s, so I'm going to follow them down to 823. Now, we're going to use this to help us solve the rest of our problem. In the afternoon, 4 packages of 10 muffins were sold. So there's 4 packages of 10. So that's 10 4 times. Okay. In the afternoon, those 4 packages of 10 were sold. So how many muffins were sold? Okay. So if I want to jump 10, where do I go? If you said down, you were correct. So here's a jump of 10. There's 1 package of 10, 2 packages of 10, 3 packages of 10, and winner, winner. There's our 4th package of 10. What number are we on? 863. So we counted by tens to show how many muffins were sold that day. We used our knowledge of place value and our hundredths chart to help us know we counted down. Let's carry this forward and look at our model and draw. In our model and draw, it says, look at the digits in the numbers. What 2 numbers are next in the counting pattern? So let's look at what they showed us. They showed us 114 using our tens box. 214, what did they do in our picture that's different? 314, what did they change? 415, what did they do in their pictures? Rather than doing our arrow scooping, they drew the pictures. And what did they add or take away? They added 100. And they did the same here and the same here. So what do you think I'll need to do next? If you said add another 100, then you were correct. So 414 would go up to 514. And add another 100 because they want the next 2. And I'd go up to 614. But wait a minute, we're not done. The blank digit changes by 1 each time. Well, if we look here carefully on our page, the only thing that changed was our hundreds. So we're going to write hundreds. We're not writing the standard, we're writing the word. The hundreds digit changes by 1 each time. The next 2 numbers are 514 and 614. Make sure you have that filled in. Now we're simply going to look at the digits to find the next 2 numbers. They helped us out on this first one, friends. What do you notice about the digits here? If you said that they highlighted in red some of the digits, then you were correct. Because I see 137, 147, 157, 167. So if I just go back and read just the red digit now, I would say 3, 4, 5, 6. What am I going to say next? 7. And then what? 8. And then I can add in my hundreds and ones, my hundreds and ones. The next 2 numbers are 177 and 187. Let's take a look at our next problem together because they didn't do anything in red this time. So we really need to put our knowledge to the test with number 2. In number 2, we see the number pattern: 245, 345, 445, 545. So let's look. These are really big numbers. So am I going to count by ones to see how many went up? No, probably not. So instead, what are we going to use? We're going to use our place value knowledge. So I'm going to start and see if I notice anything changing in my numbers. I went from 245 to 345. Well, I noticed I said 4 10s and 5 1s, so 45 here and here. So the only thing different between these 2 numbers is the 2 and the 3. How about here? The 4, the 5. What place value is this that's changing? The hundreds, very good. Is it going up 100 or down 100? Good job, it's going up. So 200, 300, 400, 500. What do you think is going to be next? 645, and then 745. So the next 2 numbers are 645 and 745. Now, it's time for me to put you to the test here, my friends. We have our next 2 number patterns here. You're going to take a moment to go through these, and just like we've been doing, underline what's changing. Draw your value, your quick pictures, if you need to. Go through and see if you can figure out what the next 2 numbers are. Do not just guess. Try your best. When you're ready, push play and come back and we'll check our answers together. For number 3, I noticed that the tens place changed. 2, 3, 4, 5 is counting up. So 451 would turn to 461, which would turn to 471. So my numbers were simply increasing by 10. I'm going to look at number 4. I notice the only digit changing is my hundredths place, and the numbers are getting bigger. So I know that after 6 comes 7, and then 8. So I can simply fill in my new numbers. So friends, let's stop and think. Today we talked about extending number patterns. I want you to take a moment and think about how place value helps us extend our number patterns. If you had the idea that it helps us identify what's changing in order to add on by thinking in ones, tens, hundreds, then you're correct. It made it much easier to identify what was changing and know what we needed to do in the next numbers. If you feel like you would benefit from more practice, you can go on to do on your own. But if you are feeling good and you do not need more practice on this, you can move right along to your practice and homework for lesson 2.10. Good luck, work hard, and as always, try your best. See you soon.